Hi everyone, this is a quick video introducing you to Module 3. Module 3 will conclude our look at short stories or fiction writing for the class. After this point, we'll be looking at poetry and then drama. So we'll be moving forward after this with a different type of genre you've been introduced to in the first module, but we'll get into poetry a little bit in more depth in Module 4. So to conclude our discussion of fiction writing, you'll be doing two things. First off will be a discussion board, and then you will also write your first essay for the class. So we'll do two essays for this class and then a project. And so we'll start off with our first essay and analysis essay in this unit. So it's pretty simple overview of what we're looking at here. To-do list and then resources includes a video on finding symbols as well as a website for writing an analysis essay. So those are all resources to help you with the two assignments in this module. The readings, same thing. Those come from the textbook. There is a section on symbols and some discussion on symbols, as well as a chapter on writing about stories, and then there's a sample analysis paper. It's really important that you look at these sections here before you start writing the analysis essay, because just giving an analysis assignment, there's all kinds of ways to approach an analysis essay, and so I really want you to be following along with some of the examples in the book and the way that they suggest that you prepare for it in the book. So this is the discussion board that we'll be looking at. The discussion board, which you can't see here, the discussion board is a look at different symbols within the text that you've been reading. You'll be posting two stories for other students to look at. And then, and I don't want you to double up on stories, so make sure that you, in your initial, like the very first sentence, make sure that you tell us what story it is so no one will take your story. And you can post right away if you want to, and then just go back and edit it so that way you don't lose the story that you're working on. So you're going to pick two stories, you're going to post them, you'll include who the main characters are, what the plot is, and then three symbols from the story and what you think they mean. Now keep in mind that with symbols, there may be multiple meanings to them depending on how you read the story, and something may be obviously a symbol to you that is not obvious to somebody else, or vice versa. So that's why we're taking a look at this, because there are a lot of ways to interpret a story, and so you may think that this flower represents femininity, and somebody else may think this flower represents beauty, and they might both be right. So we're here to see what other people think. So then the next step is to choose two of your peers' stories. Oh, and you won't be able to reply until you've made at least one post. That way everybody has a chance to find one to reply to. I don't want everyone just doing the replies. And so your reply will be whether or not you agree or disagree with the symbol's meaning. And it's okay to disagree, obviously, because we can have multiple interpretations. And then at least one additional symbol that the peer did not find. And so this needs to be new symbol, obviously. And then, so if somebody else has commented, it can't be the same one. And then what you think the overall theme of the story is. So it's just a new way to take a look at these stories, and of course symbols, which we have already discussed, we've already looked at within the module. So then the next thing, after you've finished the discussion board, you want to start working on the essay, and then there's some things in here to help you out. I've given you a documentation overview. This is for students who either maybe it's been a little while since you've taken Comp 1, or maybe your Comp 1 class did not cover documentation, or maybe you haven't gotten to that point in your Comp 1 class, but this is just information for review, should be review. There's a short section in the textbook that kind of goes over the concept in really brief terms that's outside of the reading from earlier. There's the Purdue OWL website, which is a guide for MLA, which is really handy. And then this is a video that I use in my composition classes that just is a really basic overview of the 3 parts of documentation. All of the examples are ones that you would use for outside research. So it's not necessarily good examples for literature, but you can at least see how everything is constructed. Now, the works cited entry, though, for this essay is really simple because you're just following along with the textbook. And almost all the examples in the textbook are the same. So basically, if you're feeling really lazy, you can copy and paste this directly into your essay. You just change the author, the title of the work that you chose, so the title of the short story, and then the page numbers you found it on. So that's pretty easy. The rest of the documentation is using page numbers when you make a direct reference or when you use a quotation. Since you only have one source for this essay, it's really simple, and you should be able to just use page numbers for those references, and it should be pretty clear what you're talking about. So fiction analysis essay, basically you're going to choose one story that you've read. It should be a story you've already read, that way you don't have to do extra work. And then you want to pick an aspect of that story that you can analyze it based on. So you may decide that you want to analyze the chrysanthemums using the main character or something like that, or the necklace using Matilda's character change. And so then you'll write a 5-paragraph essay using that one aspect as your central part or point for focusing your analysis. So you'll have title and author in the first sentence, really important so we know what story you are analyzing. Your thesis will connect the element that you're analyzing to the story and make a claim based on that element, and there are examples in the textbook. You'll want to have at least 3 body paragraphs. It's not a terribly long essay. Most analyses are not very long, so at least 3 body paragraphs, so you'll end up with a 5-paragraph essay. And each of those body paragraphs should cover a specific example that you want to show. So if you were doing Matilda and the necklace, you would talk about, how she is sort of at the beginning of the story, and then maybe the middle of the story and the end of the story, or something like that. So you would have those 3 specific points that you want to make to connect back to the thesis. Page numbers for direct quotations or really specific examples, and then the use of critical reading and analysis. The biggest mistake students make is just repeat the plot. They just explain the plot to the reader as opposed to analyzing it. Analyzing breaks down something into its parts and discusses why. So the question is, why did the author choose whatever symbol or whatever literary device you decide to focus on, or this theme, and that is how you're going to break down and discuss this essay. So this short story. So make sure that you are reading the chapters first because they'll give you some ideas. Make sure it's in MLA style. We type all of our essays in MLA style for this class, and then you do have that works cited page with that source. So just that short story listed. You will not have any other sources because it is not a research paper. Make sure you all are also only talking about the story and not about yourself or the reader, because we don't really care about your opinion. That ought to be pretty obvious since you're writing the paper. You are not using first-person experience in this essay. It's not about you. It is about the short story, so keep that in mind. Now, this essay is worth 100 points. Keep that in mind as well. It's a good chunk of your grade. And then this rubric I'm going to fix because it's all worth 0 points at the moment. But you can see the different categories that you'll be graded on. And so when I go to grade this essay, I'll actually use the rubric to break down your grade, and I'll leave you inline comments and things like that. So just keep that in mind. you'll upload an essay file for this one. So that has been an overview of Module 3. Hopefully you guys are doing well, and thank you for watching this video all the way to the end. If you are still with me and you email me to tell me that you watched this video, I will add 5 points of extra credit to your fiction analysis essay. So thank you for watching the video. Thank you for paying attention, and I will talk to you later.